ॐ दक्षिणास्य समारम्भा शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमा अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ता स्मर्या गुरुपरम्परा श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। परिज्ञानाश्रम श्रीगुरुशङ्कर परिज्ञानाश्रम शङ्कर सद्गुरु केशव वामन कृष्ण पाण्डुरङ्ग आनन्द परिज्ञान गुरु सद्यो जात शङ्कर सद्गुरु गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम् यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः। Now Lord Krishna said that Maranakale or Antakale, at the time of the Viyoga, Deha Viyoga Kale, he said that in the fifth verse, Antakale cha mameva smaran muktva kalevaram. The one who leaves this body, the one who dies, remembering me, mam smaran muktva kalevaram. Then he said, Saha madbhavam yati. That means he will reach me. Now here, what he's talking about is the general rule that whatever is the last thought or the final few thoughts at the time of death, they are the ones which really plan or make the trajectory by which you take the next birth. The next embodiment or the next body taken up by the jiva depends upon the last thoughts. Therefore, Krishna is saying that if you have to think of me at the end of life, at the time of death, then this thought of me has to become an abhyasa. It should become a vasana. Because in the sixth verse he said, Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajanti ante kalevaram. Whatever thought they have at the end of their lives, at the time of death, that is what is going to determine where you are going to be born again. And I also told you in the last session the story of Jadabharata, where this person who was a yogi, who was a mumukshu, who was a dhyana yogi, completely lost his track by only thinking about that small deer, which he had adopted and which he was bringing up, and it completely took him away from whatever was his goal. So what Krishna is saying here is, let a person who wants to reach me be an upasaka, and let that person think of me at the end of his life. Now here what Krishna is doing is, Lord Krishna is talking about an upasaka, and here Saguna Brahma Upasaka or Saguna Ishvara Upasaka is being talked about. In the 7th chapter and in the 9th chapter and further, a Jivan Mukta is going to be talked about. That is a person who goes to Jnana Yoga after sufficient Chitta Shuddhi, karmana chitta shuddhi, upasanaya chitta naishchalyam. After that, he goes to Jnana Yoga, gets this knowledge, and has freedom or moksha or Jivan Mukti. And here Krishna is not talking about such a person, because he has already talked about such a person in the 5th chapter, 6th chapter, 7th chapter, where such a Jivan Mukta, when his end comes, when his body is left behind, there's no question of coming back, which was called as the Videha Mukti. Now, here, what he's talking about is that particular Upasaka who has sufficiently has chitta shuddhi by karma yoga, and now who is an upasaka, saguna brahma upasaka or an ishvara upasaka. What happens to such a person, and what happens when he thinks of ishvara or thinks of me in his last thought? When he thinks of me, what happens later, at the time of death? That is what is being talked about here. Now let us talk about a few things about upasana. Now, what is upasana? What is an upasaka? Let us talk about that now. Now, what is the meaning of upasana here? Upasana means here Saguna Brahma or Ishvara Upasana or worship taking a particular name and form. Now, I want to connect to Ishvara, but while connecting to Ishvara, I am not able to see the entirety of Ishvara. I am not able to really see the Paraprakriti of Ishvara. Therefore, what I am going to do is I am going to connect to this Ishvara with a particular name and form, and that particular name and form depends upon my Ishtadevata or Shastra Anusara, whatever has been talked about by the Shastra about the various deities and various devatas, which we see in our various shlokas, in our various dhyana shlokas also. When we sit for meditation on Lalita Sahasranama or Vishnu Sahasranama, we have a dhyana shloka in which we visualize a certain deity with certain attributes. This kind of a dependence on a particular name and form is what is called as a Pratima Upasana or Pratima Alambana. That means I am connecting to Ishvara having a certain name and form in front of my mind's eye, and I think of that deity and then later do whatever, with that I do whatever upasana, japa or whatever it is for the sake of chitta naischalyam. And we must understand that this upasaka does not either want to go to Jnana Yoga because he is not fully prepared, or Jnana Yoga is not possible for him. He remains to be an upasaka. He might develop sufficient chitta naischalyam also, but at the moment, at present, this upasaka in this life is not for some reason wanting to go to Jnana Yoga and get Jivan Mukti. And such an upasaka is using what? He is using a particular Devata Vishesha as a form, which is called as the Pratima Alambanam. He takes the Alambanam or the help of a particular name and form, which is called as Pratima Alambanam, and then continues to connect to that particular deity and do his upasana in the form of japa, in the form of manasa puja, or in the form of shodasha upachara puja, whatever it is. And after having done that, or even while doing that, he is constantly remembering this deity as Anusmaranam. During his puja, during his japa, he is doing the smaranam of that deity, and this smaranam becomes a continuous subconscious flow of that particular devata thought, which is called as Anusmaranam. And at the time of death, whatever is there in the subconscious continuously, that which is going on as a flow continuously as a vasana, that is what is going to manifest itself at the time of death. And such an upasaka, having done upasana on me, using a particular name and form as a pratima alambana, and continuously doing anusmaranam at the time of death, such a person is going to leave his body, and that particular devata vishesha directs him either to his next birth, where he takes his next embodiment, or else here Krishna is talking about another gati for an upasaka. What is that gati? Now, in these upasakas, there can be two types of upasakas. Those who are doing the Saguna Brahma Upasana, there can be two types of upasakas. One is a Sakama Upasaka. That means for material gains, this person is doing upasana of a particular Devata Vishesha, say Rama, Krishna, Devi, whatever it is. So, for such a Sakama Upasaka, who is connecting to the Lord only for dharma, artha, and kama purusharthas, only for the material achievements, what happens to such a person? Such a person takes birth again, either in a human form or in some other higher loka, swarga loka, or whatever it is, depending upon whatever has been his intention in the form of achieving the material benefits of dharma, artha, kama. So this is the gati for a sakama and Saguna Brahma Upasaka. Now the same Saguna Brahma Upasaka or Ishvara Upasaka who's using an alambanam of a particular name and form, but whose intention of upasana is not for the sake of dharma, artha, kama, purusharthas, not for the sake of any material gain or benefit, but nishkamataya. Nishkamataya for what? That sometime or the other I should go to Jnana Yoga. I should get this knowledge of Aham Brahma Asmi iti, Abheda knowledge I must have. This is his intention or sankalpa. He never prays, he never does the Saguna Ishvara Upasana for any other material benefit, but it is a Nishkama Upasana. Now Lord Krishna says that such a Nishkama Upasaka at the time of death can go by what is called as a Shukla Gati, which Krishna is going to himself later explain. Shukla Gati Dwara, he goes to what is called as the Brahmaloka. Brahmaloka is supposed to be the highest of the lokas, of the 14 lokas. And it is said that in Brahmaloka, this particular Upasaka has all the opportunity and the chance to get this Atmajnanam much faster and easier, and he can get released and get mukti in Brahmaloka, which is called as a Krama Mukti. So now we have to understand there are two types of muktis, first of all. Here and now, in this life, after having gone through sufficient karma yoga and upasana yoga, I go to Jnana Yoga, get this knowledge, become a sthita prajna, become totally free in this life itself. It is called as Jivan Mukti or Sadhyo Mukti. And when a Jivan Mukta Sthita Prajna dies, there's no question of his coming back at all, because all his karmas are burnt away by this knowledge. Supposing we have an upasaka who is an Nishkama upasaka, but for some reason he has not gone to this jnanam, for some reason he has not got this Jivan Mukti in this life, what happens to him? Such an upasaka can go through a gati or a path called as Shukla Gati and enter into the highest loka called as Brahmaloka, in which this Nishkama Saguna Brahma Upasaka has a chance and a possibility of getting this knowledge and getting free from this particular life itself. And in Brahmaloka, he gets this mukti. And this is what is called as the Krama Mukti. So what is it that can happen to a Saguna Ishvara or Saguna Brahma Upasaka? If it is a Sakama Upasaka, he comes back into either Bhuloka or other higher lokas, enjoys the material benefits of Dharma, Artha, Kama. But a Nishkama Upasaka can get Krama Mukti by going through Brahmaloka and going to Brahmaloka. But here there is a catch. Even a Nishkama Upasaka, when he goes to Brahmaloka, there is a certain way in which he has to direct his pranas. That is going to be told by Lord Krishna in the next few verses. So a Nishkama Saguna Brahma Upasaka has to be a yogi also, has to be an expert in pranayama also, to assure that, to ensure that he reaches Brahmaloka. Therefore, what Krishna is trying to say is, try to be a Jivan Mukta here and now, because Krama Mukti is not that easy. Going to Brahmaloka and getting Krama Mukti and getting free is not that easy. You are here, you are now here, you are already following Karma Yoga, Upasana Yoga, you already have Shastra, you already have Guru. Therefore, get into Jnana Yoga, Shravanam, Mananam, may you do Nididhyasanam, Dhyana Yoga according to the sixth chapter, may you do, and get totally, completely free and get mukti here and now. That is the best thing for you. That is what he's saying. But then he has to give what is the path that a Saguna Ishvara Upasaka, who is a Nishkama Upasaka, what is the course, or what is the path that he takes. That is what is going to be talked about from the 7th verse onwards. And before that, before he goes actually to the Ishvara Upasana, he talks to Arjuna and says that, I have told you, Arjuna, that ma manusmara, always think of me. May you be an upasaka, because what you do all your life is going to be there available for you as a vasana, as a subconscious thing, as a thought which will effortlessly come at the time of death. This introduction I gave to this upasana is to see that our next few verses we don't have to stop in the middle. In the 7th verse, Krishna says, Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu मामनुस्मर युध्य च मय्यर्पितमनो बुद्धिः मामे वेश्यस्य संशयः. Hey Arjuna, tasmat, therefore, sarveshu kaleshu, at all periods of time. Here, sarveshu kaleshu, Krishna is using plural for kala. Sarveshu kaleshu, bahuvachanam he is using. Why is he using that? He says, in all periods of time, yesterday, today, tomorrow, at the time of, whatever you are doing, wherever you are, at every time, sarveshu kaleshu, whatever you are doing, whatever role you are playing, sarveshu kaleshu, mamanuswara, may you constantly think of me. May that thought of me as Krishna or Rama or whatever it is, may that Saguna Ishvara, that that particular Pratima, or let that thought of me be all the time there, Mamanuswara, and Yudhyacha. May you fight this war. Why is he asking Arjuna to fight the war? Because this is the context of the war, and this is the Swadharma of Arjuna. Therefore, Swadharmancha Kuru iti, he is saying Yudhyacha. Suppose Lord Krishna was talking to a teacher, he would have said Mam Anuswara, and also you teach. Supposing he was talking to a housewife, he would have told Mam Anuswara and play the role that you are playing. Therefore, Yudhyacha means all the time, in whatever you are engaged with, whatever you are doing, whatever role you are playing, may constantly that thought of me be like an undercurrent in your mind. Like a musician is constantly having subconsciously that awareness of the Shruti and Laya, as he or she is singing. Whatever you are doing now, Arjuna, your duty is to fight this dharma yuddha. Yudhya cha, but how? Ma manuswara. And when you are fighting, mai arpita mano buddhihi, you have to, and you are completely going to surrender your mind, your buddhi, your karma, everything to me. And with this attitude, when you do your work or whatever you do, then mameva yeshyasi, you will come to me, no doubt. In this war, even if you die, when you die, you're doing your swakarma, you're doing your swadharma, and thinking of me constantly. Whatever may be the result of your action, ultimately you will reach me. Mameva yeshyasi, you are going to come to me. He's telling this to Arjuna, and through Arjuna, he's telling all of us that whatever you are doing, let my thought in the form of Saguna Ishvara Upasana, in whichever form you want to connect to me, may that thought be there all the time as an undercurrent in whatever you are doing. Then, how is this going to happen? Only by abhyasa. Constantly, if I think of Ishvara, then at the time of death also, effortlessly, by my vasanas, by abhyasa, I'm going to think of Ishvara, and that's what is Krishna going to say in the next verse. He says, किञ्च अभ्यासयोगयुक्तेन चेतसा नान्यगामिना परमं पुरुषं दिव्यं याति पार्थानुचिन्तयन्. Now he says, Hey Arjuna, Abhyasa Yoga Yuktena. Now, this practice is called as Abhyasa by Lord Krishna. This practice of constantly remembering me, Anusmaranam, constantly remembering me, this practice is called as Abhyasa Yoga. What is yoga? A commitment. A commitment of constantly remembering me. This abhyasa of thinking of me all the time, whatever you are doing, this is called as Abhyasa Yoga. Abhyasa Yuktena, Abhyasa Yoga Yuktena Chetasa. Chetasa means your mind. By your mind, which is constantly associated with the Abhyasa of thinking about me, about Anusmaranam about me, and this mind na anya gamina. Your mind is not thinking of anything else. When you are doing your work also, there is that background thought of me. When you are not doing anything also, all the time you are doing your anusmaranam about me. Na anya gamina. Your mind is not thinking about anything else except with the conscious mind you are doing your duty, and in the subconscious mind my anusmaranam is constantly taking place. Such a mind is called as anyagamina chetasa, where the mind does not go anywhere else. Anyagamina chetasa abhyasa yoga yuktena. Such a person, you Arjuna, or any such a person who's doing this, what does he attain? He attains this Ishvara, me. Who is that Ishvara? Paramam Purusham Divyam Yati. He attains or he becomes me, the Ishvara, who's what? Paramam. Me, the Ishvara, there is nothing else beyond me. There is nothing else other than me. Paramam, the highest. Niratishayam, Ishvaram Prapnuyat. Then Divyam. What is the meaning of Divyam? That which is self effulgent, that which because of which the whole universe is shining. I, the Ishvara, who reveal myself, and also because of me, the entire universe is functioning. I, this Divyam, Purusham, Paramam. Purusham means I, this Ishvara, who's available in every jiva as the Adhyatmam, as the Adhiyagnyam, as the Antaryami, you will reach me. Okay, so when you think of me constantly, remember here, all these words can be applied to Brahman also. All these words are applied when a person is going to, think of, even Nirguna Brahma Jnanam or Vichara also, the same words are being used. But here we should understand that Lord Krishna is not talking about Jivan Mukti. Lord Krishna here is talking about the gati of an upasaka in the form of Krama Mukti, and therefore here all these words, Paramam, Divyam, Purusham, they all refer to Ishvara, Saguna Ishvara or Saguna Brahman. The same words, can be explained for Brahman also. But here he says, Abhyasa Yoga Yuktena na anyagamina chetasa. By your mind not getting distracted by any other thing, what happens? Hey Partha, you are going to get. What are you going to get? You are going to reach. What are you going to reach? Paramam Divyam Purusham Mam Yeshyasi. He said in the previous verse, Maya Arpita Mano Buddhihi Mam Yeva Yeshyasi Asamshayaha. Doubtless. It is doubtless. Absolutely, it is doubtless that you are going to really see me. You are going to, absolutely come to me. Mameva Yeshyasi. And what kind of a Purusha is this? What kind of a Purusha is this that is being talked about? Paramam Divyam. Now, Krishna wants to talk about some other attributes. Some other attributes of this Ishvara, Krishna wants to talk about. He already gave 3 attributes. Divyam, Paramam, Purusham, Yati or Yeshyasi. You are going to come. Now, what are the other attributes of this Ishvara? Now, again, all these attributes can be given to Brahman also. That is who? Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma. But now, in the context of the 8th chapter, what are we doing here? We are talking about the Saguna Ishvara Upasaka. Therefore, all of these attributes are going to refer to Ishvara. Ishvara or Saguna Brahma. We can say Krishna or whichever is our Ishta Devata we are talking about, that we can talk about. Now, what does he say? What is the Vishishtam of this Paramam Purusham? Who is this Paramam Purusham Yati? He says, Kavim Puranam Anushasitaram Anoraniyam Samanusmaredhyah Sarvasya Dhataramachintya Rupam Aditya Varnam Tamasah Parastat. Now he's saying, this Ishvara, this me, which you are going to, reach or get or be one with as a Saguna Upasaka, at the time of death, you can think of me in any of these ways, in any of these forms. I am the Divyam, Paramam, Purusham. At the same time, you can also think of me as any of these following attributes. What are the following attributes? He says, Kavim, Puranam, Anushasitaram, Anoraniyam. So who am I, Ishvara? I am the Kavi. What is the meaning of Kavi? Kavate, Kau dhatu it comes. Kavate iti Kavihi. What is the meaning of Kavi here? Kavi is the one who sees something deeper or more subtle than what other people can see. That is why a poet is also called a Kavi. Why is a poet called Kavi? Because he sees something subtler and something deeper in anything that everybody else is seeing. And Kavi also is a term used for Ishvara because Kavi is a Krantadarshi. That's what Bhagwan Acharya Shankara says here in his thing. Kavi, he means Krantadarshi, the one who sees everything, the one who knows everything. So, such a Ishvara who can be called as Sarvagnya. So, Kavihi here means a Sarvagnya, a Krantadarshi who can see everything very, very clearly and who knows everything in this Jagat, whatever is happening. So, he is aware, he is full of knowledge. Kavi is more knowledge about everything that is there. So, such a person is called as Kavi. Kavim, you can think of me, Ishvara, at the final, Ishvara, who's the all-knower, who knows everything. Puranam, what is Puranam? Chirantanam, the one who is imperishable, the one who is timeless, the one who is Nitya, the one who's always been there. So you can think of me in this way, Ishvara, as, imperishable, Nitya, present, eternal. So I am eternal. You can think of me as the all knower, all knowledge. You can think of me, Ishvara, as the one who's imperishable and then who is there all the time, Nityam, eternal. Then Anushasitaram. You can think of me, Ishvara, as the one who wields all the laws of the universe, the one who does the Anushasanam, the one who rules over this entire universe. So, when you are thinking of me, oh, this Ishvara, my Ishtadevata, this name and form which I am thinking of is all knowing Rama or Krishna, all knowing Anushasitara. Because of the presence of this particular, my Ishtadevata or Ishvara, this whole Jagat is running. And this Ishvara is the eternal, the one who is imperishable. Okay, so Anushasitara means the one who is running or who is having the total Aishwaryam, or the one who's ruling over the entire manifest universe with all the various laws. Anoraniyam. What is the meaning of Anoraniyam? This Ishvara, who's subtler than the subtlest, which is there, this Ishvara, who is as the Paraprakriti, is manifesting in everything, who is the subtlest of the subtle, who is the Adhishtanam of everything. That's why we have one Anoraniyam Mahato Mahiyan. We have that. That means that this Ishvara is subtler than the subtlest and bigger than the biggest. Anoraniyam Mahato Mahiyan. So, whatever is there in this universe, manifest universe, unmanifest universe, this Ishvara, the one I am thinking of with a particular name and form, this Ishvara is the Kavi, all knowledge, who knows everything, who is the eternal, the one who is, all the time there in all three periods of time, the one who's running this entire universe, including my body, mind, sense complex, with a clock like precision. Anusmaredhya. Think of me in any of these forms, Krishna is telling. Think of me as Kavi, as Puranam, as Anoraniyam, as Anushasitaram, as Paramam, Divyam Purusham, anything. And some more he is giving. Sarvasya Dhataram. I am the one who's the support of everything. Not only that, I am the karma phala data for every jiva. Depending upon the karma of every jiva, the distributor of the karma phala, that the right karma phala goes to the right person, the distributor of karma phala, I am the sarvasya dhataram and achintya rupam. Achintya rupam. What is the meaning of achintya rupam? Since I'm everything, though you are looking at me, though you are connecting with me with a particular name and form, Sindhura, Runa Vigraham, Trinayanam, or whatever it is, in whichever form you are thinking about me, I'm much, much beyond that. And I'm Achintyam. This is what is going to be shown by Krishna in the Vishwarupa Darshanam in the 11th chapter. When Arjuna is able to, his mind is boggled thinking of the Achintya Rupam of Ishvara. You can't even think of me what I am. I am everything. That human mind, your mind is incapable of thinking about what forms I can manifest in and how even in an formless way I can sustain the entire Jagat. So I'm Achintya Rupam. I'm totally Achintyam Rupam and Aditya Varnam. I'm like the ever shining Nitya Prakasha Swarupa Aditya Rupam. Think of me as the Aditya Rupam. What is the meaning of Aditya Rupam? Nitya Prakasha Swarupam. All the time I am shining, I am available, making myself available to everyone who wants to connect to me. And I not only shine, reveal myself, and I reveal everything. Nitya Prakasha Swarupa Rupi Aditya Rupam. You can think of me even as sun, because it is called Aditya, is called Pratyaksha Devata, because that sun Aditya is available to us to see. So you can think of me even as that Aditya Devata, but I am Tamasaha Parastat. Last word. He says Aditya can light up. but then everything. But Aditya cannot reveal darkness, isn't it? The light of the sun can reveal everything, but the light of the sun cannot reveal darkness. But I am that light of consciousness which can reveal even darkness. When I come into the dark room, I say, it is dark. What is the meaning of that? As consciousness, as Ishvara, I can even reveal the darkness. Therefore, tamasaha parastat. Aditya is not tamasaha parastat, but I, Ishvara, like a Nitya Prakasha Swarupa Aditya, but I am even beyond darkness, in the sense I can light up the darkness also. I can reveal the darkness also as Ishvara. The night that you are experiencing is my manifestation. Therefore, I as Ishvara can reveal the darkness, but I am beyond that darkness also. So, in all these forms, Arjuna, you can think of me. When you think of me, these are all the various attributes which you can think of and connect to me. And in the next verse, in the 10th verse, which is a verse where Krishna says that though you may be a Saguna Ishvara Upasaka, you may be thinking of me at the time of death also, because you have made it a habit, abhyasa, and vasana, and your thoughts are about me in any of this form at the time of death. But even then, to ensure krama mukti, which I explained in the previous, as we started, that an upasaka getting out the jiva, going to brahmaloka, and ultimately kramena mukti, krama mukti. For this, you have to be a yogi also. You have to be a pranayama specialist and a yogi also. And at the same time, should be an upasaka. Such a person at the time of death, he knows, a yogi, a pranayama yogi knows the time of his death. When the death is coming, what he does is, thinking of me, he directs his pranas through the Sushumna Nadi, which arises from the heart. This is a little tough portion. We don't have to go too much into it. We'll just understand what Krishna is trying to say in the 10th verse. What he's trying to say is, at the time of death, this Saguna Brahma Upasaka or an Ishwar Upasaka who has depended upon me with Nama Rupa Alambanam, this person is a yogi also. This person is a pranayama yogi also. What does he do? When he knows that he is going to die, he brings in or collects all the pranas and the mind, he brings it into his Hridaya Pundarika, or in the Buddhi Guha Hridaya. And it is said that there are some nadis, there are more than 100 nadis in the bodies, and there is one nadi which starts from the heart, goes through the middle of the eyebrows, and then through the Brahmarandra. This nadi goes out. This is called as the Sushumna Nadi. This is a yogic practice. And so here Krishna is talking about the practice of a yogi who is simultaneously an upasaka. And such a person, how does he direct his jiva at the time of death? That is what is being talked about here. This is not really for us unless we are yogis. It is better we, just, think of Ishvara, and whatever gati Ishvara has to take us, let Ishvara take us. But for a yogi who wants to direct his jiva to Brahmaloka, this is what he does. He says, प्रयाणकाले मनसा चलेन भक्त्या युक्तो योगबलेन चैव भ्रुवोर्मध्ये प्राणमावेश्य सम्यक् सतं परं पुरुषम् उपैति दिव्यम्. So prayanakale, at the time of death, this yogi plus upasaka. Okay, it's very rare to have this combination. So this upasaka has made up his mind that I'm going to use use my yoga bala and see that I direct my jiva to Brahmaloka the way I want. This doesn't happen to all of us. We cannot all of us do that unless we are absolutely trained in this process of yoga, and also how to direct the prana, how to direct the jiva through the Sushumna Nadi. This is not for us. For us, being a upasaka is enough. And if we are, really serious, let before trying all this, if we have attained Jivan Mukti, nothing like that. But if that has not happened, if we are not yogis, no problem. Let us be Saguna Ishvara Upasakas, and at the time of death, remember our Ishta Devata and let Krishna take care of where we have to go and what has to happen. So here what is he saying? Prayana Kale, at the time of death, Manasa Achalena. Achalena Manasa. This person has to have an undisturbed, concentrated mind. Okay, see what all things have to happen if one has to go to Brahma Loka. Just see the complicated course that one has to take. Manasa achalena. Achalena manasa. So there should be mind which is absolutely concentrating upon the yogic practice that one is doing, and simultaneously bhaktya yukto yoga balena chaiva. At the same time, the mind should be having the continuous thought of Ishvara, in whichever form this Upasaka has been worshipping this Varikulam. So the mind has to be achalam, nishchala mind. At the same time, it has to have the with bhakti, with commitment, it has to be thinking of Ishvara. And what does he say? Do pranam aveshya samyak bhruvor madhye. All the pancha pranas along with the mind, aveshya, he withdraws all of them. Where does he withdraw all of them? He withdraws them, here he has not mentioned it in the verse, he withdraws them into his heart and directs this entire prana with the mind, through the Sushumna Nadi, Bhruvor Madhye Satam Param Purusham Upaiti Divyam. So Bhruvor Madhye, how does he come to Bhruvor Madhye? He literally packs up all the Pancha Pranas with the mind into the Hridayam, and from the Hridayam through the Urdhvagamini Nadi called as the Sushumna Nadi, Bhruvor Madhye it passes, and through the Brahmarandra this Nadi comes outwards. Through this, the prana is directed. Satam param purusham upaiti divyam. He reaches this purusha in Brahmaloka. And once he goes to Brahmaloka, what is this Brahmaloka? Krishna will tell later that Brahmaloka also comes and goes. That is also recycling. Therefore, just going to Brahmaloka is not going to help this Upasaka. But there is a very, very strong chance that in Brahmaloka, this mukti can be had, moksha can be had, which is called as Krama Mukti. But if you look at all these things, better to be a Karma Yogi, an Upasaka, a Jnana Yogi, and get free ihaiva, here and now only. Doesn't matter if it takes any number of births, it doesn't matter. See, if this yogi goes to Brahmaloka, does not succeed in getting this jnanam, then he'll have to come back again. So now he's only telling because Krishna has no other place later to tell these things, and these are all in the Shastra. Therefore, Krishna wants to dedicate this chapter to what happens to a Saguna Brahma Upasaka. What is the meaning of Shukla Gati? What is the meaning of Krama Mukti? What is the meaning of Sakama Upasana? What is the meaning of Nishkama Upasana? All these things he has to say. And next he's also going to talk about a pratika upasana called as Omkara upasana. That also is going to talk about in the next few verses. Therefore, in this chapter, Krishna's intention is to very briefly talk about various kinds of upasanas, Saguna Brahma upasanas, and what is the phalam for each of these upasanas. What is the gati? What is the the path that is followed by each of these upasakas. That is the content of this chapter. So only if we know sufficiently what Krishna is trying to say, that is more than enough. So this is what a yogi and an upasaka does to reach Brahmaloka, which I already explained as one of the gatis which is taken by an upasaka. Now, in the next verse, next two verses, in the 11th verse and the 12th verse, Krishna is going to talk about another kind of upasana, what is called as the Omkara upasana. What is Omkara? Now, we saw that this Saguna Ishvara Upasana with the particular alambana of a name and form was called as the Pratima Alambanam or Pratima Upasana. But Krishna says that there is another type of Upasana where you can think of Ishvara in the form of a pratika. What is the meaning of pratika? A symbol. Okay. Now, supposing there are many people who say we cannot think of Ishvara in any name and form. It is not possible for us to think of Ishvara as a particular name and form like Rama, Krishna, or anything. For such people, to do Ishvara Upasana, certain sanketas, certain symbols, or certain pratikas are given, like flame. A flame can be used, as a pratika upasana. A golden flame. Many of these meditation processes, they talk about think of a golden flame and all that. So a flame can be a pratika. But Omkara is considered to be the most sacred symbol or the pratika for Saguna Brahma Upasana. And Omkara Upasana is so important that it is talked about in Taittiriya Upanishad in Shikshavali. It is talked about in Chandogya Upanishad as Udgita Upasana. It is talked about in all the other Upanishads, Omkara Upasana. Kathopanishad also. Kathopanishad talks about Omkara Upasana. What is the Upasana here? Om is a very loaded word. Omkara has so many things which can be talked about, but here Om, discussion on Omkara is not the context in this chapter. What Krishna is saying is that Upasana can be done using a Pratika Alambanam, not merely a Pratima Alambanam, but a Pratika can be taken, a symbol can be taken, and Omkara is the Pratika or the symbol, the most sacred symbol which has been given by all the Upanishads, all the Shastras to meditate upon for Saguna Brahma Upasana. And what is this Omkara? What is it is going to be? In very briefly, he is going to talk about later, in the 22nd verse. Later he's going to talk about. But here, what he's going to talk about is briefly, he's going to talk about that Omkara can be used as a pratika for upasana. So, what are the types of upasanas we have got now? We have got upasanas where there is a Saguna Brahma upasana in which one can have Sakama upasana, Nishkama upasana. Okay, and Sakama upasana, you just get the gati and the phala depending on the various deities. In a Nishkama upasaka, if he is a yogi also, he can direct his prana, his jiva, through the Shukla Gati to reach Brahmaloka, and there he can get this knowledge and become free of this samsara, which is called as Kramamukti. So this is one of the upasanas that can be used. For the same thing now, all this time we talked about the Pratima Alambanam. Now in the next one or two verses, Krishna gives an alternative option. Krishna says that Omkara can be used to think about for upasana on Ishvara. Why? Because all the Vedas say Omkara is an abhidhanam. It is a name for Brahman, for Ishvara. Omkara is another name for Brahman and for Ishvara. That means Saguna Brahman and Nirguna Brahman also. Therefore, for a Saguna Brahma Upasaka, for an Ishvara Upasaka, Omkara can be taken as the symbol which he sees or which he does Upasana as Ishvara. So now in the 11th verse he says, Yadaksharam Veda Vido Vadanti Vishanti Tadyatayo Vitaragaha Yadichanto Brahmacharyam Charanti Tatte Padam Sangrahena Pravakshe. So, Yad Aksharam Veda Vido Vadanti, that Aksharam Brahma, that Ishvara, which this Veda Vido Vadanti, those who know the Vedas, Veda Vidaha, the knowers of the Veda talk about, Vishanti Tad Yatayo Vitaragaha, those who get into the Upasana of this Ishvara, without raga dveshas, that means those who are prepared intellects, those karma yogis who are prepared intellects, those who have got enough chitta shuddhi, they enter into the upasana of this. Yadichantaha brahmacharyam charanti. Those, those who wanting this get into the following of the discipline of brahmacharyam. Brahmacharyam means what? Does not mean celibacy only. Brahmacharyam means a commitment to know Brahman. A commitment to know Brahman is what is called as, brahmacharyam. Brahmacharyam charanti tatte padam. That padam, what it is, I am going to tell you sangrahena in brief. And this Krishna is going to talk about only in the 22nd verse. Okay. So he says, you have done this Saguna Ishvara Upasana. Now, the ultimate result of this, is Yad Aksharam, that Aksharam Brahma, which Mundaka Upanishad talks as Brahman, is called as Aksharam. What is that Aksharam Brahma? I am going to talk to you later at the end of this chapter. But right now, in the next few verses, hey Arjuna, I want to talk to you about another kind of upasana, what is called as the Udgita Upasana or Omkara Upasana, where you think of Ishvara on a symbol, on a pratika called as the Omkara. Now in the 12th verse he says now here the same thing which he told in the previous verse, which is that 10th verse he said prayana kale manasa achalena. The same thing he is doing here, saying that even an omkara upasaka also will have to do the same thing. At the time of death, his mind has to be on Ishvara and he has to chant Om and leave his body. This is for an Omkara Upasaka. He says here, Sarvadvarani Sanyamya Manohridi Nirudhya Cha Murdhya Dhayatmana Pranam Asthito Yoga Dharanam. Whatever kind of an upasaka you may be. You may be a Saguna Brahma Upasaka using a Pratima Alamba, or a Pratika Alambanam in the form of Omkara Upasana. Even such a person, a yogi, Sarvadvarani Sanyamya, when he has closed or when he has withdrawn all his sense organs, mana hridi nirudhyacha, he has withdrawn all the pranas and the mind into the heart. Murdhya dhayatmanaha pranam. Murdhya means here, he takes his prana through the Sushumna Nadi, through the Brahmaradra, Pranam Asthito Yoga Dharanam. Again, here he's talking about this yogi who's going to use Pratima or Pratika Alambanam. Now, what is this Pratika Omkara? That he's going to talk about in the 13th verse. That a yogi can be a Pratima Alambana Upasaka or a Pratika Alambana Upasaka. And in our Shastras, Omkara is being talked about as a symbol or as a name, nomenclature, or as an abhidhana for both Brahman, Nirguna Brahman, as well as Ishvara or Saguna Brahman. Therefore, an Upasaka can connect to me, Ishvara, with Omkara. This is Omkara Upasana. And this Upasana also has to be followed all your life. And at the time of death, if Omkara has to come out of your mouth, if you have to die thinking of Om, even if you are not a yogi, you don't have to do all these things of bringing it Sushumna Nadi, it's all right. At least at that time, if Om is there in my mind, if Omkara is what is the Udgara that comes out, then it will take the course of wherever I have to reach. I don't have to worry about my pranayama and other things. So in the 13th verse, Lord is talking about what is this pratika. ओमित्येकाक्षरं ब्रह्म व्याहरन् मामनुस्मरन् यः प्रयाति त्यजन् देहं स याति परमां गतिम्. Same thing here. What he said was Om iti eka aksharam brahma. Om is ekaksharam. That means Om. Though it contains a, u and ma, it is ekaksharam. It is one syllable. Om iti eka aksharam brahma. So Om is the nomenclature, the abhidhanam or the symbol for Brahma. Brahman as well as for Ishvara. Vyaharan, by chanting this, Mamanusmaran, he's thinking of me. At the same time, that thought of me is centered on this pratika Om. He's chanting Om. Vyaharan, chanting Mam Anusmaran, thinking of me, superimposing me or thinking of me as Om. Omkara. I am the Omkara. That's what Krishna says. Omkara aham asmi sarveshu vedeshu Omkara aham asmi. I am the Omkara in all the Vedas. That means what? I am the symbol. I'm represented by this one single symbol, one single syllable called as Omkara. So Om ityeva aksharam ekaksharam iti eka aksharam Brahma. I am that one symbol which represents that Ekam Brahma Ishvara. And Vyaharan, by chanting, thinking of that, at least mentally chanting this Mam Anusmaran, thinking of me, Yaha Prayati Tyajanti Dehaha, leaves his body, thinking of me, doing Smaranam on me as Omkara, Sa Api Yati Paramam Gatim. He also reaches the same end. Therefore, there is so much of choice for Upasana, Saguna Ishvara Upasana. I can be a Sakama Upasaka, a Nishkama Upasaka. A Nishkama Upasaka, definitely I will have a better chance of Krama Mukti. And as a Nishkama Upasaka, I can use my Ishtadevata with any name and form, or I can use Omkara as the symbol if I'm not able to think of any name and form. But either for Alamba, Pratima Alamba Upasana or Omkara Alamba Upasana, it has to be a practice of lifetime. It cannot be just happening in the last minute. Omkara also will not come in the last minute. It has to be actually a practice. So what happens with this particular upasaka, any of them, either a Pratima Alambana upasaka or Omkara Pratika Alambana upasaka, when they leave this body, either as yogis or as non-yogis, what will happen to them, what is the gati that they are going to have, is what is going to be talked about by Krishna from the 14th verse. And that Yat Aksharam, which is all, that Brahman, which we are thinking of, is going to be talked about in the 22nd verse. Here, till then, only reaching me, Ishvara, Saguna, Ishvara, Upasana, Taya. That is what is going to be talked about till about the 20th verse. In the next few verses, he'll talk about what happens to this Saguna Brahma Upasaka, either a Pratima or a Pratika Alambana Upasaka. I think with this, we will end today's session. ॐ नन्दन्तु साधका सर्वे विनश्यन्तु विदूषकाः अवस्थाशाम्भवी मेस्तु प्रसन्नोऽस्तु गुरुः सदा सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखमाप्नुयात् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।